Hello YouTube, Jared here with another video for you, finally highlighting my Necron collection. So, 3 years ago, I got a Fire Team board game that had a couple of Necrons in it and a couple Space Marines, and then I bought the Recruit edition of the starter box for 9th edition, I believe, of Warhammer. And so I had an Overlord, and I had a Warden, and about 20 of the Warriors and 2 squads of Scarabs and a little Necron force to play with and fool around and see if I could learn the rules to Warhammer. And I played a little bit with it, played it as Fire Team, played it as Kill Team, and then it kind of went in the box for a while as I switched to Age of Sigmar. But I have come back to the Necrons, built them out, customized them slowly over the last year or so, and I am now on the home stretch to a full 2,000 point army. And so I figured it was finally time to kind of show them off and highlight this project. This is a 2,000 point army, but as you can obviously see, I've got some unpainted stuff. So once it's painted, this will be more than a 2,000 point army, and this will be part of my 11 armies and 11th edition challenge. And so that's the goal right now, is to get this army finally up to speed. So I kind of want to walk you through some of the stuff I have, and then how I'm rounding out this army. And then, well, I don't want to spoil it, but this army is going to go full apocalypse. So we'll explain that when we get to the end of the video. So stick around to the end of the video to learn how this army is going to probably wind up doubling in size. But we'll get to that in a minute. This army has humble origins, like I said, and like my Space Marines, the paint scheme changed a couple times. And so this and my Ultramarines have a few paint inconsistencies, but this is actually one of the few armies I have that very much is a custom paint scheme. It's my custom dynasty. And so I don't have a lot of Reaper paints, but Oxidized Red by Reaper, I got this paint kind of on a whim just because I kind of liked the color and absolutely fell in love with it. And so that's the color on all of these models. And when I first started painting it, I didn't have Tesseract Glow. And so I was using Orc Flesh by Army Painter for a lot of the weapons. And so a lot of the weapons are Orc Flesh, which was an older contrast paint that's since been replaced with their 2.0 speed paint. And then I have 2 craft paints that are a metallic green. One's this lighter color, one's this darker color. And so that was how I did the paint scheme. And then I think the thing that I liked most about this scheme when I was very first learning to paint is I did a little, after I had it all painted up, I did the orange, I did the lead belcher or whatever steel paint I had, and then black, and then whatever colorful green I had. I decided to just dry brush a little white over the face to see if I can make it pop a little bit, because their faces are shaped like skulls, and I thought that might be kind of cool. And it looks so good, I've done most of the army in this white skull mask. And so that's really what makes this my custom chapter, is all of them have white skull masks. And so white heads, and then the oxidized orange armor. I believe there's an official dynasty that has orange armor, but they don't have the skull mask. And so the white faces with, some of them have green eyes, the ones I've done more detail painting on. And then the oxidized red. That is really what makes this army. And then for the troops, it's either a lead belcher or lead belcher equivalent for the body. And then the leadership has a gold paint, and I have changed gold paint over the last 3 years. So I actually kind of like it because it looks like they're all different golds, and they were all kind of had their bodies manufactured at different times. And then for the bigger walkers, I have a Vallejo brass or bronze that I've used for their limbs. And so because this army traces my entire paint journey over the last 3 years, the number of paint brands is highest in this army. I've got Army Painter, Vallejo, Reaper, and Citadel, which is now Warhammer Paint. And then I've got craft paint in here too. So I'm going to count Art Deco or whatever it's called. And then I guess I have Pro Acryl too for the white. So yeah, that would make it 7 brands, question mark. So yeah, around 7 different brands are represented in here. Pretty sure that's my only army that can say that. But overall, I am a huge fan of this army. And I will say, this is the army that I've gotten to the table probably the most, this and the Ultramarines. When I've had friends over to play, I've actually played this army 3 or 4 times. Originally at 700 points, then I got it to 1,000, then I got to 1,400. And right now it's at that 1,400. And so to push it over the edge, I got for Christmas the Silent King. You can probably spot him over here. And I just painted these up 2 days ago. So he is actively happening. And then on a used trade lot, I was able to get Command Barge that was horribly assembled. So many pieces in the wrong place. Literally, the icon was upside down. I had to take a knife and cut it off and flip it back around correctly. This thing has been a nightmare to repair. But it's as good as it's going to get. It's still a little janky looking, but I'm going to go with it. It'll be fine when it's painted. And then I've got some more various elite troops, the Immortals, I guess. And then I happened to finally get on a trade lot the sprue that I really wanted, which was the port, basically. And that had another one of the Reanimators, the 2 Crypt Thralls, some more leaders, and then this guy. And as you can see, I have 2 squads of the Scorpic Destroyers. And so finally getting a leader for them really made me happy. And then I finally got this guy, the Chronomancer. I'm trying to remember how I got him. I want to say he was part of the new trade lot that I'll tell you about in a second. And then another Hexmark. Hexmark was a birthday present, I think. And then I ordered... Here's another fun story. This army has a lot of fun stories. This guy was one of the very first things I added. I bought him separate, so I didn't have the full sprue. But I bought him from a guy on eBay in Britain who shipped it over. It was the first thing I ordered internationally. And I ordered him when he was a really bad model. Like, no one was running this thing. His rules were terrible. And then 10th edition dropped, and he had rules. He was the best unit in the game. You could not find this guy. And so there was a hot moment where I bought this guy for maybe 20, 25 bucks with tax and shipping. And got him painted, played a game with him. The new edition rolls out, and then his price jumps like $75, $80. And I was just laughing because I got him when nobody wanted him, and then everybody wanted him, and nobody could find him. And so that's a really fun model. This model I got at least a Christmas ago. I think this was another Christmas present. Love the giant kind of War of the Worlds walker. This is was my tallest model for the longest time. Huge fan of the Necron aesthetic. So I am rapidly becoming a Necron army. I mean, I've got a lot of armies. I love my Space Marines, but the Necrons really have a special place in my heart. If you're starting an army, Necrons are so easy to paint. You really need a black, a white, 2 or 3 metallics, a highlight color, and then 1 or 2 effect paints, and you're done. Maybe Null Oil and all that jazz, but really easy to get into Necrons. I cannot recommend Necrons as a starting army enough, and the aesthetic is fun. They're a little bit Egypt, but not as Egypt as Thousand Suns. You don't have a lot of trim to paint. You can do a lot of flat body painting, and then because it's got all this details on it, it'll just pop out. Now, if you want to spend hours and hours, doing elaborate details, there are details on here to paint, but you don't have to do that. And so if you want to get in on the face here, so if I can get it to show up on camera, and like paint all the little doodads on him, you could, but you don't have to. And that's the nice thing about Necrons. This guy is also got a funny story. He was broken in a box. And so when I painted him up, he had a broken staff. And so I found this piece right here and made it into a scythe bit. And what this piece actually was, it's a piece of the Void Dragon, I want to say. Like a random bit off of the Void Dragon wing. And it just made a good scythe. So it's not my favorite because it's a little chunky looking, but it is an official Necron piece. Only other thing I'll say in terms of this army is I hate the basing scheme. I was brand new in the hobby. I bought a bag of basing sand that was just like fine grit sand or whatever. And then all I could think to do with it is I put down some super glue, rubbed it in the sand so it wouldn't look like the grass spaces that are on my Ultramarines for some reason, and then hit it with some Agrax Earthshade. And so all of these minis are sand with Agrax Earthshade. and it's really boring. It's not the end of the world. It does its job, but some of them are really dark. Like this guy, he's got a really dark Agrax. Some of the guys like this one, did he get the Agrax? You know, so there's a lot of inconsistencies on this army, and it mildly annoys me. And there's a tiny voice that would love to scrape it all off and do a better basing job, but that would be miserable and it would ruin the paint job. So I'm not going to. But in terms of the models, I am just such a fan of how much fun the Necrons are. They paint really fast and easy. And then I have to say, rules-wise, this is a fun army. Their rules are that they are able to come back from the dead. And so if you have a squad of 10 and 4 of them get shot, let's say you have a squad of 10 warriors, 4 of them get shot, well, they have rules to bring back 2 or 3 models every turn. And it's really easy to buff that to 3 or 4 models. And you can bring that squad all the way back to full strength really fast. And that mechanic is very satisfying. Being able to erase the other player's progress. And then for these little scarabs, and I have almost too many scarabs, but the scarabs, are very short. You can hide this thing, look how small that is, behind any piece of terrain. These things can actually get cover and obscuring from scatter terrain, and that is just the best. And their rule is that they explode, and so you run them up, shove them into the engine of your opponent's tank, then you have one of them explode, you damage the tank, you make the tank waste its time fighting it, and if they don't kill it, you bring a model back next turn and it explodes again. And you can do a lot of mortal wounds by just throwing bugs into the windshield of your opponent's tanks or outrider bikes, which is what I normally do to my Ultramarines when I play against them. And so, very satisfying on the tabletop. I really love me some scarabs. Are they the best use of points? Not really. They can't really take objectives. But in terms of throwing bugs into windshields and having that be a viable strategy, it's a moment of hilarity, and it makes every game funnier for the Necron player and a nice little challenge for whoever I'm playing against. And so I definitely love these guys. I love the Darth Maul wannabes with the dual wielding blades. These guys are just fun, and I'm so glad they're going to finally have a boss get painted up. So really, really enjoy that. Oh, this model, the leadership, the Plasmancer and the Psychomancer and the Chronomancer. Just love all the stuff they do with the leaders. I'm really hoping in 11th edition that some of these will get a support keyword, and I'll be able to use even more leaders in a squad and really kind of soup them together. But like, look at that skull. That's cool. Look at that. Look at his mount. That's cool. Just such dynamic and fun models. This guy, Hexmark Destroyer. I have another one here and then another one on Sprue. I'm going to have a full 3 squad of these guys. This guy has Overwatch rules where he's hitting on 2s on an Overwatch, and that is fun. Making it so that you can put him up in a tower or something, and anything that moves, he's going to take some pot shots at it and do a couple of points of damage. Really, really, really satisfying. This army has so many satisfying moments in it. The warriors coming back to life, the big doom cannon getting fired, the reanimator bringing stuff back, the overlords using their Tachyon arrow, which is a one-shot weapon, the ways that they're able to roll their saves, and these guys doing their melee attacks. Really what makes the Necron army a Necron army is everything has a job to do. So the Deathmark snipers here, they're really good at sniping, and the Tesla Cannon Immortals are really good at getting into close range. And so you have all of these guys who have really specific jobs to do. So Space Marines tend to be everybody's good enough at everything. They're pretty survivable. They've got good melee. They've got good range. And it's just, what do they specialize in? Necrons are very min-max. Everything is really good at 1 or 2 things and nothing else. And so warriors are terrible in melee. These guys are wonderful in melee, but don't have any range weapons. And so everything is specialized. And so this army plays as a game of optimization. You're trying to choose who's fighting where. So the scarabs are helping you make sure that you get the right unit to fight the right unit. It's really fun. But because of the reanimations, they're able to have some survivability. And so if you make a mistake and you put something in the wrong place, you pull it back, you heal it for a turn, and you throw it against the right target. And so I really, really love that. And I can't wait to get the Silent King. He's got cool rules. He's coming up. a second reanimator for another squad, because I got 40 warriors already. Another squad of Deathmark, another squad of Immortals, the Cryptech, the new Plasmancer, Chronomancer, and then I got this guy in another trade deal. I've had about 4 or 5 trade deals now for Necrons. And the Shroud Overlord. He's got teleporting shenanigans. And so Necrons, one of the funnest armies in 40k, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Flavorful, fun, and it's a good time. So if you want to collecting an army, I do recommend Necrons. Now, since you stuck with me, now comes the fun part of this. I collected nearly all of this, got the Silent King, was right at 2,000 points. And then I found on Facebook Marketplace somebody selling Imperium Magazine. If you know Imperium Magazine, it's got about 2,000 points of Necrons. And so my 2,000 point list of Necrons is getting ready to be a 5,000 point army of Necrons. And so I am very, very excited about that. That's where I got the sprue with these guys, but not where I got the sprue for this guy. That was another trade right after that. So I've since gotten all of Imperium Magazine, Nuance sprue, and I got the Shroud guy, plus, I mean, I had to get a flyer. This is used in new in box, but the box was open, so I got a discount on this. But got myself a Doom Scythe, gotta have a flyer involved, and so found somebody selling a flyer in the Shroud guy, and couldn't say no to it. So he gave me a good discount on that. And he wanted some Terminator bits, and I had extra Terminator bits. So I traded him some bits. He got me a good deal on some more Necrons. So this list is pushing 5,000. So this is what I have so far. I'm going to pause the camera for a second and get all the sprues out so you can just see how ridiculous this is going to get. All right, and here it is. Now, if you know anything about Necron lore, you know that while the Necrons are a threat to the galaxy currently, underneath their lair sleeps countless Necrons waiting to come back out. And so while I have that 2,000 point Necron list, it's about done. I have another 3,000 points waiting in hibernation to destroy the galaxy. And so my new sub goal here is to build a 5,000 point Necron army and play an Apocalypse game against multiple Space Marine chapters to hold them off. And so this will be one of my dream games that I'm going to be building towards in the coming months, and probably won't happen until next year, but oh, it's going to be fun. I've got the big Walker guy in here from the magazine. I have, these are more Immortals, more Necron Warriors. I think this will take me up to, I think there's 20 in here, so that'll take me up to 60 Warriors. The Praetorian guys with a shield who can also be built. They have 2 names, but I have 20 of them. I have 5 of the Wraths and 5 of the Tomb Blades, so I'm missing 1 of each, but I can get an extra 1 of each of those to bring it to 2 squads each of 3. And then 2 of the Heavy Destroyers. Those will be fun. I've got this sprue. This is the big spider for all my little scarabs. And I got to show you this. Look what's on the bottom of the giant spider. There's all the little baby spiders. I have a daughter who loves spiders, and so I had to show her this. But the big mama spider is full of baby spiders, so can't wait to build that. I have another command barge, and this one I'm going to build is the cannon version, but some bits off of this I can probably use to fix the other one. I already showed you the Doom Scythe, and then just a small pile of extra leaders. And so the goal is to take all of this stuff and try to kit bash me some more leaders. So because I'm running a custom chapter, I'm not really trying to run Orkin and Trazen and the Stormlord dude, whatever his name is. But if I can build models with their loadouts on the right bases, I can use them as the hero rules, but for my own. And so I'll have to come up with some names for it. So if you have cool Necron names, lay them on me, and maybe I'll use them in my army when I officially name some of these guys. But I have another one of the ones that are riding on the spider. I always forget that guy's name. He's the one I always forget. And then I have Scythe guy, and then here's the riding guy. And then somewhere in here, I have more Royal Wardens, which is good because ironically I only have 1 of those, and he's got some decent rolls. I'm really hoping next edition he's going to be a support, so we can double him up. Here's my 3rd Hexmark Destroyer. Love that model. And then here is yet more Immortals, more Immortals, more of the Praetorians. The third Royal Warden, and then yet a third squad of the Scorpec Destroyer. Yes, the Scorpec Destroyer. And then I got flayed ones. And then I have that extra sprue that's just 3 warriors. This was in the magazine, but it's an incomplete squad. So this will just be for kit bashing purposes. I might use this to make, I don't even know. So I might kit bash with this or put it on a base somewhere. Now, all of this being an Apocalypse size army now, I don't have, ironically, with all these models, it's so infantry heavy. I don't have a monolith. I don't have any Catan at all. I don't have any of the shards. No Nightbringer, no Void Dragon, and I don't have a Ghost Arc or its canon version, the upside down version. And so, as much as this army is more than complete, at about 5,000 points, I think is what it calculates up to, but we'll have new points here in the next month or so, so who knows what it'll be. There's still a tiny part of me that says, if you got it this far, you might as well take this army even farther. So this is, realistically, if you count Space Marine chapters as their own thing, this will be my biggest army. And so I think, by de facto, this will make me a Necron player more than anything. I've played more games of Necrons than anything else, and that will be my biggest army. So I think at a certain point, I will have to declare myself a Necron player as my first army. And so I love me some Space Marine chapters. I'm building Eldari and Orcs and all this other stuff, but man, Necrons are just cool. So that's all I've got for you. If you want to follow along this project, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe, if you leave the video a like, comment below some ideas for names, because eventually I would like to name my chapter and give it its own kind of lurid identity, and that's something I'm definitely open to ideas on. So I do need to eventually name all of this, and appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.